Hatred isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a quiet smile, hiding a clenched fist. A polite nod in public that whispers sabotage in private. True hatred is patient. It doesn't erupt immediately. It waits, watches, and plans. When it strikes, the damage is done. Relationships broken, careers ruined, families torn apart. The worst part, most men don't see it coming. They doubt themselves instead of questioning the one who's been quietly poisoning them for years. In this video, we'll uncover 5 unmistakable signs of deep-seated hatred, the kind that seeps into your life like slow poison. These aren't fleeting grudges or bad moods. These are profound patterns that, once recognized, will change how you guard your inner peace forever. If you value clarity, trust, and your future, you need to know these signs before it's too late. Walk with me to the end of this video. If you're ready to see the world with clear eyes, subscribe, like, share with someone who needs this, and comment below. I choose to protect my peace of mind. Let's begin. The first sign: they actively work against your success. This one stings, and if you've lived long enough, you've likely faced it. Some men don't just dislike you, they want to see you fail. Not in a burst of anger, but with a slow, deliberate plan. They don't shout or rage. Instead, they operate like silent saboteurs, sowing doubt in others, pulling strings behind the scenes, and ensuring their fingerprints are never on the mess they create. On the surface, they might seem supportive, even friendly, but every smile hides a quiet satisfaction at the thought of your stumble. The hardest truth is, most don't see it until the damage is done. A clear sign of true hatred is when someone quietly but relentlessly undermines your success. Not the man who openly opposes you. At least then you can defend yourself. No, this is the man who nods when you speak, cheers your ideas, then subtly shifts the environment so those ideas never see the light of day. Picture a colleague who forgets to send you critical emails before a big meeting, yet ensures everyone else gets them, or a family member who, in casual conversation, quietly chips away at your reputation, maybe saying you've been stressed lately or always a bit short-tempered. These small remarks don't raise alarms right away, but over time, they build a narrative about you that you can't counter. This isn't carelessness or incompetence. It's deliberate sabotage. In your professional life, these men might assist on a project but miss deadlines or lose key information. Knowing you'll take the fall, they might pitch your idea to the boss as their own, or they subtly highlight a minor mistake to diminish your strengths. In personal life, they play the same game. They might stir conflict between you and loved ones, not with direct accusations, but through sly hints and half-truths that erode trust. Over time, you notice patterns, invitations you never get, opportunities that vanish without explanation, friends who suddenly treat you differently without saying why. From a Stoic's perspective, the challenge is not just spotting these patterns, but responding without being consumed by anger. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the harm others do is only as great as the power we give it in our minds. This doesn't mean ignoring sabotage. It means refusing to let it rule your inner state. A Stoic doesn't deny that men can be cruel. He chooses not to let their cruelty steal his peace. Practically, this means 2 things. Stay vigilant and stay in control. Instead of reacting emotionally to every slight, track consistency. Is that missed message a one-off mistake or part of a repeating pattern? Does that offhand comment about you stand alone? Or is it echoed where you're not present? When you see someone quietly working against you, the worst move is to confront them in a burst of emotion. That's what they want. It makes you look unhinged while they play the victim. Instead, a Stoic's approach is to silently limit their influence. Share less with them. Document critical exchanges. Build alliances with those who know your true character. If possible, produce results so undeniable that their whispers can't compete with your success. Subtle sabotage thrives in the shadows. It works best when you're distracted, doubting yourself, or too trusting to see what's really happening. By bringing it to light, not through public accusations but private awareness, you strip away its greatest weapon, secrecy. Here's the hard truth you must accept. To protect yourself. Some men are happiest when you're at your lowest. Your failure is their quiet joy. Proof. Their long-held resentment is justified. It's tempting to try to win them over, to prove you're worthy of their respect or kindness. But that's not the Stoic's path. You're not here to change their view of you. You're here to preserve your integrity, focus, and inner peace. Epictetus taught us to care only about what's in our control, our thoughts, actions, choices, and let go of the rest. Trying to change a hater's heart is like stopping the wind with your hands. It exhausts you, without results. When you grasp this, you shift your energy from defending yourself to living so well that their hatred becomes irrelevant. This doesn't mean ignoring sabotage. It means managing it strategically without losing your balance. Stay calm. Refuse to play their game. And you take away what they crave most, your emotional reaction. Hatred feeds on the chaos it creates. A Stoic starves it by standing firm in stillness. Spotting this first sign is critical, but it's just the start. There's another sign, equally dangerous and harder to detect, that shows hatred in an even subtler form. It's the moment someone's eyes light up not for your success, but for your pain. Once you see it, you'll never unsee it. The second sign, they take pleasure in your misfortune. This isn't mild envy or someone just having a bad day when you share good news. This is darker. These men are truly satisfied when you suffer, unable to hide their delight when life hits you hard. They may cloak it in polite words, but the mask is never perfect. A true ally listens without judgment, asks questions to understand your needs, and offers genuine support. Their voice, posture, and eyes radiate empathy. But a man who hates you speaks the right words with the wrong energy. Their eyes might gleam just a bit too brightly. Their questions probe into details in a way that feels invasive. Instead of easing your burden, their words make it heavier. You see it in the smallest cracks of their performance. They may lower their voice to seem caring, but you sense a hidden thrill in their tone. They try to keep a neutral face, but a fleeting smirk betrays them. Noticeable only to those paying close attention, they ask about your struggles not to help, but because your misfortune is their entertainment. A friend hearing about your legal trouble might suddenly obsess over every detail, offering no useful advice, just listening like it's a gripping story. When you mention financial struggles, they may feign sympathy, but subtly shift the talk to your past mistakes, implying you brought it on yourself. The clearest sign isn't how they react to your failures, but how they respond to your wins. Share good news, and they brush it off, quickly changing the subject. But when trouble hits, They've got all the time in the world to care. They lean in, their voice livens up, and they seem relieved to linger on the topic. On social media, it's even clearer. They ignore your achievements, but are first to comment on your struggles, with words that seem supportive, but amplify your pain for others to see. This isn't random. It's a pattern of feeding on negativity, using your struggles as a twisted form of social currency. The danger isn't just the emotional sting, it's the slow psychological erosion over time. You might start questioning who you can trust with your vulnerabilities. You may stop sharing good news entirely, sensing it's met with indifference. That's exactly what they want, to shrink your emotional openness until the only version of you they see is the one struggling. That version feeds their ego. It reinforces their sense of superiority. It fuels their quiet victory. From a Stoic's view, this is where mental discipline becomes your shield. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we're disturbed not by events, but by how we judge them. When someone revels in your struggles, the human impulse is anger or hurt. A Stoic sees their reaction for what it is: proof of their character, not yours. Instead of confronting them in an emotional storm, you adjust your boundaries. Share less. Choose carefully what parts of your life they see. Guard your energy like a fortress protects its gates. This doesn't mean retreating from the world or distrusting everyone. It means observing patterns over isolated incidents. A single off-key reaction might be a fluke, but a consistent pattern of delight in your struggles is something else entirely. That's what you confront, not by changing them, but by stripping away the power they have over your emotional state. Epictetus taught that a wise man's freedom lies in knowing his limits of control. You can't force someone to cheer your success if they choose resentment, but you can refuse to let their joy in your pain weaken you. Recognizing this sign prepares you for something even darker. Some don't just relish your struggles, they actively create them. They go beyond personal satisfaction to calculated sabotage of the most vital parts of your life. Their goal isn't just to see you fall, but to sever the bonds that help you rise again. Their tactics are so subtle, unfolding slowly, that you may not realize you're being isolated until the damage is done. The next sign is the most dangerous. If you value your closest ties, you must spot it before it's too late. The third sign they sow: doubt about you in others. What makes this hatred terrifying is its invisibility until the harm is done. These men don't attack openly. That would expose them. Instead, they pose as the caring friend, the reliable colleague, or the thoughtful family member. They make themselves seem safe, trustworthy, someone others confide in. It starts small. They mention your name in conversations, not with outright accusations, but with gentle hints of doubt. They might say to someone, "I just hope John's holding up okay. He's been under a lot of pressure lately." It sounds caring, but it implies you're unstable or overwhelmed. They don't lie outright. They mix partial truths with missing context to make their words sound reasonable. If you're stressed at work, they'll mention it, but leave out that your judgment is still sound. If you made a mistake, they'll bring it up, omitting that you owned it and fixed it. By framing their concern as reluctant and private, they build trust while making you seem questionable. I've seen this with a man named David, a senior manager at a large firm. He'd built strong ties with his team over years, but a colleague, let's call him Mark, slowly became the team's emotional anchor. In private talks, Mark expressed worry for David. mentioning the pressure he was under and suggesting he might be pushing himself too hard to make sound decisions, said with a sympathetic tone. These words carried a subtle message that David's judgment was slipping. Over time, David noticed meetings happening without him, projects reassigned, and colleagues giving him wary looks. Mark never criticized him openly. He didn't need to. The seeds of doubt were planted. This tactic, called triangulation, controls information flow through a middleman who shapes it to suit their agenda. It's the oldest political sabotage trick. And it works because most don't verify information. If you don't talk directly to those involved, you rely on a filter already tainted. Soon, that filter rewrites your story to serve their purpose. Seneca said, "The harm others do to you is nothing compared to the harm you do yourself by believing them." This is why the Stoic approach is so powerful. You can't stop their whispers, but you can keep them from taking root in your mind. The key is holding fast to what you know is true and maintaining direct, honest communication with those who matter. If a friend grows distant, reach out directly. If a colleague starts avoiding you, have a frank talk instead of trusting second-hand information. Don't let the manipulator become the middleman they want to be. They target your closest relationships because they know those bonds are your strength. If they can make you doubt your allies, or make your allies doubt you, they've weakened you without a direct fight. That's why a sudden shift in how people treat you demands scrutiny. When someone who once trusted you turns cold for no reason, consider who they've been spending time with and what's been planted in their mind. The Stoics' greatest weapon isn't paranoia but clarity. Recognize that some will use kindness as a mask for sabotage. Your task isn't to chase every rumor or explain yourself to everyone. It's to stand firm, speak plainly, and not let anyone dictate your life's story. Because once you give up that power, you've handed them the tools to fulfill their aim. Understanding this third sign prepares you for something even darker. It reveals not just malice, but a deep human flaw. It's a tactic that, once seen, makes you rethink every small gesture and word from others. And that's when true hatred shows its most chilling face. Let's dive into the next sign. The fourth sign: they mimic you while trying to outdo you. Some hatred doesn't just want your misfortune, it wants to possess you, replace you, live a shadowed version of your life, and make it seem superior. This isn't healthy competition or admiration driving growth. It's obsession mixed with resentment. One of the most unsettling behaviors you'll encounter. When a man truly hates you, he watches you with an intensity that feels more like surveillance than curiosity. He notes what you wear, where you go, who you connect with, how you speak, even how you carry yourself in public. But it's not to learn from you, it's to copy you, strip away your uniqueness, and claim they do it better. This stems from a deep insecurity. You represent something they believe they deserve but can't achieve naturally. Maybe your ease with people, the respect you've earned in your career, or the stability in your personal life. Instead of forging their own path, they make you their benchmark. They think that by beating you at your own game, they've proven their worth to the world and themselves. Since their self-worth is tied to outshining you, the mimicry never stops. It escalates. Take the example of Pablo Picasso and his rival, Georges Braque. Their early creative partnership pushed them both. But competition turned personal. Braque began copying Picasso's work so closely it was hard to tell them apart. To outsiders, it might have seemed like mutual inspiration, But Picasso saw the truth. This wasn't about shared brilliance. It was an attempt to steal his place, blur his identity, and prove superiority through imitation. That's how malicious mimicry works. It doesn't create value, it erases origins. Healthy inspiration takes your ideas, transforms them into something new, and openly credits the influence. But when someone hates you, their approach is parasitic. They copy your ideas wholesale, tweak them slightly for appearance, and parade them as their own. At work, they might mimic your proposal, adjust a few details, and pitch it as theirs. In personal life, they adopt your hobbies, but try to seem more skilled or passionate than you ever were. This isn't shared enjoyment, it's erasing your ownership. The most dangerous part is the psychological deception. They might accuse you of copying them, flipping the narrative, so you're the imitator and they're the original. This reversal not only discredits you, but reinforces their story of being superior. Over time, you feel like you're living in a distorted mirror, where your choices are overshadowed by someone trying to outdo you. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This is the antidote to their game. When you stop needing to beat them, you take away their fuel. The Stoics' response isn't to compete harder in their world, but to step out of the comparison entirely. Your refusal to engage chokes their obsession. No matter how much they mimic you, they can't copy the inner foundation of your character if you don't let their actions sway you. You'll spot this sign by how you feel around them, or even just thinking about them. True inspiration leaves you energized and proud. Malicious competition leaves you drained, insecure, and on guard. If you notice someone always hovering in your circle, mirroring you, just to surpass you, that unease is a warning worth heeding. Your instincts are signaling that this person isn't here to share your journey, they're here to rewrite it with themselves as the star. The longer you let this dynamic persist, the more emotional energy you lose. You live with one eye on them, anticipating their next move. And before you know it, they've pulled you into the same competitive trap they're stuck in. The Stoic path demands you let go of that pull. Step back. Guard your boundaries. Remember, your life's worth isn't measured by someone else's yardstick. When you calmly let them play their petty game without joining in, you win in the only way that matters, keeping your peace, your identity, and your focus. And with that, we reach the fifth and final sign, the one that ties it all together. This sign is the most revealing and the most dangerous, because it strikes at how you experience those around you every day. Once you see it, you'll never unsee it. The fifth sign: every interaction with them leaves you drained. This isn't just a tense conversation or meeting someone in a bad mood. It's a consistent pattern, a slow erosion of your confidence, energy, and inner peace. Every time you engage with them, at first, you might not notice because nothing overtly harsh happens in these exchanges, but you walk away feeling uneasy, slightly anxious, maybe even angry without a clear reason. Later, you replay the conversation in your head, trying to pinpoint the moment things went off track. That's the trap. There's often no single moment because the harm is delivered in small, deliberate doses, slipping past your conscious defense. When someone harbors true hatred, they can radiate toxic energy even in the most ordinary conversations. Their tone may be calm, their words polite, but something in their presence feels corrosive. Your gut picks it up before your mind can explain it. Without realizing, you're burning mental energy, just staying alert, defending against subtle attacks, too quiet to name but too sharp to ignore. That's why these encounters exhaust you. Even without open conflict, you're in a psychological fight. You didn't know you entered. It shows in the smallest details. A backhanded compliment that stings. A slight smirk after a comment that hits your vulnerabilities. Subtle reminders of past mistakes, woven in as if they're harmless anecdotes. Imagine someone looking at your work and saying, "It's better than I expected," or glancing at your home and noting, "It's decent for this neighborhood." Each remark is coated in a thin veneer of politeness, but carries a jab. They're shaping how you see yourself, not with outright insults, but with carefully chosen words meant to keep you slightly off balance. Over time, you change without noticing. You avoid certain topics, speak more cautiously, question your own thoughts before sharing them. That eggshell walking isn't because you're too sensitive, it's self-preservation. You've learned through repeated encounters that anything you say can and will be used against you in subtle ways. They might even deny things they clearly said or twist your words to make you seem irrational. This constant distortion makes you doubt not just the relationship, but your own memory, judgment, and stability. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." The danger is that constant exposure to their corrosive influence taints your thoughts. You start wondering if you're overreacting, if you're too sensitive, if they're right about you. That's how this quiet psychological warfare works, not in one big strike, but by grinding you down until you no longer trust yourself. And once you doubt yourself, you're easier to manipulate. The Stoics' response isn't to argue over every slight or demand apologies for every veiled insult. That's fighting on their terms. Instead, you step back and see the pattern for what it is. You realize your peace is yours to protect, and you guard it by limiting their influence. You don't debate their intentions that traps you in their game. You calmly decide your mind won't be their playground. To do this, trust your instincts. If you always feel drained, diminished, or insecure after engaging with them, it's not random. Your subconscious is warning you of what your conscious mind hasn't yet grasped. You don't need undeniable proof. They mean you harm. You don't need to justify protecting yourself. Just observe the impact they have on you and take it seriously. That's enough to set boundaries. That's enough to keep your distance. This subtle psychological erosion is the final and perhaps most dangerous sign of true hatred, because it doesn't just harm your reputation or steal your ideas. It aims to rewrite how you see yourself from within. If you don't catch it, you risk living with an identity quietly reshaped by someone else's malice. Recognizing this pattern closes the loop on the signs we've covered. It shows true hatred is rarely loud or chaotic. It's quiet, calculated, and patient. Once you see it, you can't pretend it's not there. How you handle that awareness determines whether you're pulled into its spiral or step into the clarity and strength. Stoics see as the foundation of freedom. If you've followed this far, you know these 5 signs aren't just insights into human behavior. They're tools for survival. They're the line between keeping your peace and being quietly dismantled over years by someone who smiles to your face while undermining you behind your back. Once you've seen it, there's no going back. You can't unsee these patterns. That means you can't pretend those people are harmless. Stoicism teaches that while you can't control the malice in others' hearts, you can control who gets access to yours. You don't owe anyone a seat at your table if they're only there to poison your meal. Trust the unease in your chest when their name pops up on your phone. Trust the exhaustion after every talk. Your instincts aren't paranoia, they're wisdom born of experience. Guarding you. Act on that wisdom. Set boundaries. Walk away if you must. Above all, don't waste energy on those who only want to tear you down. If this video hit home, if it gave you the clarity you needed, don't just click away. Subscribe now, because we're building a community of men who refuse to be manipulated, drained, or diminished. Like this video to show the algorithm you value this truth. Share it with a friend facing a silent enemy in their life. And leave a comment below. I choose peace over toxicity, because in the end, your strongest act isn't proving them wrong, it's living so well their hatred becomes irrelevant. The next video waiting for you takes everything you've learned today to a new level of protection. Click it now. Your future self will thank you.